Single mom betrayed by family finds hope when mysterious CEO offers her a second chance. The rain came down in sheets that Tuesday evening, turning the parking lot outside the Grandview Hotel into a shallow lake. I sat behind the wheel of my Honda Civic, willing it to start one more time, just one more time. "Come on," I whispered, turning the key again. Nothing. Not even a click. In the back seat, Lily stirred in her booster seat. Her small face appeared in the rearview mirror, cheeks still flushed from sleep. "Mama, are we home?" I forced a smile, the kind I'd perfected over the last 5 years, the kind that said everything was fine, even when it wasn't. "Not yet, baby. Just a little car trouble. Close your eyes for a few more minutes, okay?" She nodded, her dark curls falling back against the seat. Within seconds, her breathing evened out again. At 5 years old, Lily could sleep anywhere. A gift, really, considering how many nights we'd spent in parking lots, waiting rooms, anywhere but the cramped apartment we called home. I pulled out my phone. The screen showed 15% battery and 2 missed calls from the diner. Perfect. I'd already picked up a double shift tomorrow. Couldn't afford to lose this job, too. The tow truck number sat in my recent calls. I'd used it twice in the last 3 months. Each tow cost $80 I didn't have. Each repair pushed us closer to the edge I was already teetering on. I pressed my forehead against the steering wheel and allowed myself exactly 10 seconds. 10 seconds to feel the weight of it all. The broken car, the overdue electric bill, Lily's inhaler prescription I'd been stretching for 2 weeks instead of 1, the collection letters I kept in the glove compartment because I couldn't bear to look at them. 10 seconds. Then I had to be strong again. A knock on the window made me jump. Through the rain-streaked glass, I saw a man in a charcoal suit, an umbrella held over his head. He made a rolling motion with his hand. I cracked the window an inch. Water immediately began to seep through. "Are you all right?" His voice was deep concerned. "Your hazard lights have been on for 20 minutes. 20 minutes? Had it really been that long? "I'm fine. Just waiting for the rain to ease up." The lie came easily now. I'd become fluent in pretending. He glanced at the back seat where Lily's small form was barely visible in the growing darkness. Something shifted in his expression. "Your car won't start." It wasn't a question. I didn't answer. "Look," he said, "I'm not trying to be intrusive, but there's a child in your car, it's getting cold, and the hotel lobby is 50 feet away. At least let me walk you both inside while you figure out your next move." I studied him more carefully, mid-30s maybe. Dark hair beginning to curl from the rain despite the umbrella. Expensive suit, but his tie was loosened and his shirt collar unbuttoned. He looked tired in a way I recognized, the kind of tired that came from carrying heavy things. "I can't afford the hotel," I said quietly. "I'm not asking you to rent a room. The lobby is free. It's warm. They have a courtesy phone you can use." Pride warred with practicality. Pride had stopped serving me well around the time my family stopped returning my calls. "Okay," I said finally. "Thank you." He opened my door and held the umbrella over me while I unbuckled Lily. She barely woke as I lifted her automatically, wrapping her arms around my neck. At 5, she was getting too heavy to carry like this. But tonight, I held her tight, breathing in the strawberry scent of her hair. The man stayed close as we crossed the parking lot, keeping the umbrella positioned to shield us both. Water soaked through my worn sneakers. My waitress uniform, a simple black dress I'd had since college, clung to my legs. The hotel lobby was everything the parking lot wasn't. Warm, dry, safe. Chandeliers cast soft light over marble floors, and leather furniture that probably cost more than my car. I felt every eye turned toward us, the soaked woman in the cheap dress carrying a sleeping child, next to a man who clearly belonged here. "There's a sitting area by the fireplace," he said, gesturing to a corner where the lighting was softer. "It's quieter over there." I followed him, trying not to drip on the expensive carpet. Lily shifted in my arms as I settled into an armchair that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The man sat across from me, finally lowering his umbrella and setting it aside. In the better light, I could see him more clearly. strong features, sharp jaw, eyes that were either gray or blue, I couldn't quite tell. But there was something in those eyes. Kindness, maybe, or curiosity. "I'm Daniel Nag," he said. "Emma." I adjusted Lily in my lap, brushing damp curls from her face. "This is Lily." "How old is she?" "5. She'll sleep through anything." A small smile touched his lips. "That's a useful skill." I didn't return the smile, couldn't quite manage it. The adrenaline from the car breaking down was fading, leaving behind the familiar exhaustion I carried like a second skin. Daniel leaned back in his chair, studying me with an intensity that should have made me uncomfortable. Instead, I felt strangely seen, not judged, just seen. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "You're going to anyway." Another small smile. "Fair. What were you doing in that parking lot?" "I work nearby. At the Silver Spoon Diner. I was on my way home." "In this weather with your daughter?" I felt my shoulders tighten. "My shift ended at 7. I picked her up from the sitter. This is the way home." He held up a hand. "I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to understand." "Why?" The word came out sharper than I intended. "Why does it matter to you?" He was quiet for a moment. Around us, the hotel hummed with quiet activity. Guests moving through the lobby, the soft ding of the elevator, the murmur of the restaurant tucked off to one side. "Because," Daniel said finally, "I watched you sit in that car for 20 minutes. I watched you try to start it 7 times, and not once did you cry or scream or hit the steering wheel. You just sat there completely still for exactly 10 seconds. Then you pulled out your phone like you were going to handle it." Heat crept up my neck. "You were watching me for 20 minutes. My room overlooks the parking lot. I was on a conference call." He paused. "You didn't answer my question." "Why does it matter? I don't know. Maybe because I recognize that look on your face." "What look?" "The one that says you're drowning, but you'll be damned if anyone knows it." The words hit me like a physical blow. I looked away, focusing on Lily's peaceful face. Her lips were slightly parted, one small hand curled against my chest. "I should call a tow truck," I said. "Probably." Daniel leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "But can I make a suggestion first?" I waited. "There's an auto shop 2 blocks from here. Morrison's. The owner is a friend of mine. If you're willing to leave your car here tonight, I can have him look at it first thing tomorrow morning. He's honest. Won't charge you for labor if it's something simple." "Why would you do that?" "Because I can." Such a simple answer. Because I can. As if helping strangers was just something people did. Maybe in his world it was. "I don't accept charity," I said quietly. "It's not charity. It's one person helping another. There's a difference." "Is there?" Daniel sat back again, that considering look returning to his face. "You know what? Yes, there is. Charity is about the giver feeling good. Help is about the receiver having what they need. I'm not offering to fix your car to feel good about myself. I'm offering because you need it fixed, and I happen to know someone who can do it fairly." I wanted to argue, wanted to maintain the walls I'd built so carefully around myself and Lily. But I was tired, so tired, and the truth was I did need help. "Okay," I said. "Thank you." He nodded and pulled out his phone. "I'll text him now. Let him know to expect your car in his lot." While he typed, I allowed myself to really look at him. The expensive watch on his wrist, the quality of his suit even rumpled and damp, the phone in his hand the newest model. This was a man who lived in a different world than mine, a world where broken cars were inconveniences, not catastrophes. Once upon a time, I'd lived in that world too. Had taken for granted the safety net of family money, of connections, of never having to worry if my car would start or if I could afford my daughter's medicine. That felt like someone else's life now. "All set," Daniel said, pocketing his phone. "Morrison will be expecting your car tomorrow morning. I'll have it towed there tonight on me. Non-negotiable," he added quickly, seeing me start to protest. "Consider it a thank you." "For what?" "For reminding me why I do what I do." Before I could ask what that meant, a woman in a hotel uniform approached us. She had kind eyes and silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. "Mr. Wright, your dinner reservation is ready." Mr. Wright. So he was a guest here. probably in town for business. Daniel glanced at his watch, then at me. Actually, Margaret, could you do me a favor? Could you have the kitchen prepare 2 orders of the chicken and rice? Make it to go, and add the chocolate cake. Of course, sir. Anything else? That's all. Thank you. Margaret nodded and disappeared toward the restaurant. I stared at Daniel. You don't have to do that. I know. But it's past 8 o'clock, you've had a terrible day, and I'm willing to bet you haven't eaten since lunch. Maybe not even then. He was right. I'd skipped lunch to save money planning to eat leftovers when I got home. I can't keep accepting things from you, I said. Why not? Because I can't pay you back. Daniel leaned forward again, and this time his expression was serious. Emma, I'm not asking you to pay me back. I'm asking you to let someone help you just this once without turning it into a transaction. Can you do that? Could I? Every instinct I'd developed over the last 6 years screamed no. Accepting help meant owing someone. Owing someone meant they had power over you. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. But looking at Daniel's face, I didn't see someone trying to gain power. I saw someone who genuinely wanted to help. Okay, I whispered. Lily stirred in my arms, finally beginning to wake. Her eyes fluttered open, and she looked around the unfamiliar lobby with sleepy confusion. Mama. I'm right here, baby. We're just waiting for a few minutes, then we'll get an Uber home. She nodded, still drowsy, and her eyes landed on Daniel. She studied him with the frank curiosity only children possessed. Hi, she said. Hi there. Daniel's whole face softened. I'm Daniel. I'm Lily, she yawned. Did you help my mama? I did. That's nice. Mama works really hard. Something flickered across Daniel's face. I bet she does. Lily settled back against me, content with this explanation. At 5, her world was simple. Mama worked hard. Strangers sometimes helped. Everything would be okay because Mama said so. If only it were that simple. Margaret returned with 2 large bags. The smell of roasted chicken made my stomach clench with hunger I'd been ignoring. Thank you, I said as Daniel handed me the bags. You're welcome. He stood, and I realized he was taller than I'd thought. I called an Uber for you. Should be here in 3 minutes. Of course he had, because in his world that's what you did. You saw a problem, and you fixed it. I stood too, shifting Lily onto my hip. She was awake enough now to hold on by herself. I don't know how to thank you, I said. Daniel smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. You already did. Take care of yourself, Emma, and Lily. You too. He walked us to the entrance, waiting with us until the Uber pulled up. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. I buckled Lily into the back seat, then turned to find Daniel still standing there. The shop opens at 7, he said. Morrison will call you when he knows what's wrong. Okay. We looked at each other for a long moment. I wanted to say something more, to explain why this kindness meant so much, but the words wouldn't come. Good night, Emma. Good night, Daniel. I got in the car and the driver pulled away. Through the rear window, I watched Daniel standing under the hotel awning, growing smaller as we drove away. A stranger who'd helped me for no other reason than because he could. I wondered if I'd ever see him again. Probably not. People like him didn't stay in the same orbit as people like me. The thought left me feeling strangely hollow. The apartment was dark when we arrived. I'd forgotten to leave the light on again, trying to save on the electric bill. I carried Lily up the 3 flights of stairs, unlocked the deadbolts, and stepped into our tiny world. 600 square feet, 1 bedroom that Lily slept in, a couch in the living room that served as my bed, a kitchen so small I could touch both walls at once, but it was ours, safe, clean, home. I set Lily down and flipped on the lights. The bulbs flickered a reminder that I needed to pay the electric bill before they turned it off. Again. Can we eat the food now? Lily asked, eyeing the bags from the hotel. Yes, go wash your hands. While she did, I unpacked the containers. Real china plates, not styrofoam. Chicken that had been perfectly roasted, not fried and greasy, like what I could afford. Rice with herbs I couldn't name. Roasted vegetables that actually looked appealing. And the chocolate cake rich and dark and probably worth more than my weekly grocery budget. We sat at the small table, and I watched Lily eat with the determined focus of a hungry child. She'd eaten at the sitters, but that was hours ago. Growing kids were always hungry. "This is really good, guys," she said, chocolate already smeared on her chin. "It is." "The man was nice." "Yes, he was, May. Will we see him again?" Such a simple question. Such a complicated answer. "Probably not, baby. He was just passing through." "Oh." Lily took another bite of cake. "Okay." Just like that, she accepted it and moved on. No room in her world for dwelling on things that couldn't be changed. I wished I had her resilience. After dinner, I helped Lily brush her teeth and change into her pajamas. She picked out 3 books for bedtime like always. I read them all, doing the voices making her giggle. These moments were why I kept going. Why I worked doubles at the diner and stretched every dollar until it screamed. Why I smiled through the exhaustion and the fear. For her. Everything was for her. "Mama," Lily said as I tucked her in. "Yeah, baby." "I love you." My throat tightened. "I love you too. So much. More than the moon. More than the moon and all the stars." She smiled, satisfied, and closed her eyes. Within minutes, she was asleep. I stood in the doorway for a long time, watching her chest rise and fall. 5 years old, perfect in every way, smart, funny kind. Everything good in my life started and ended with her. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I stepped into the living room before answering. "Hello, Emma. This is Jim Morrison from Morrison's Auto Shop. Daniel Wright asked me to give you a call." My heart sank. "Is it bad?" "Well, the good news is I can fix it. The bad news is you need a new alternator and your battery's dead." Looking at about $600 for parts and labor. $600. I had $87 in my checking account. I'd just paid rent. I had another 2 weeks before my next paycheck. "How long can you hold the car?" I asked. "Take your time. Daniel already covered the tow and the diagnostic. No rush on my end." Daniel had done that. Of course he had. "Thank you," I managed. "I'll figure something out." After I hung up, I sat on my couch bed and stared at the ceiling. $600. I could pick up extra shifts, but that meant more hours away from Lily, more money to the sitter. I could pawn something, but I'd already sold everything of value. My mother's ring, my grandmother's necklace, even my college laptop. I could call my sister. The thought came unbidden, unwelcome. Claire, my younger sister who'd always been the favorite, the one who'd stood by while our parents cut me out of their lives, the one who'd manipulated our father in his final months, convincing him to leave everything to her. I hadn't spoken to Claire in 3 years, not since the funeral when she told me I'd made my choices and had to live with them. I couldn't call her, wouldn't. My phone sat on the coffee table, dark and silent. No one to call, no one to ask for help, just me, like always. I thought about Daniel, about his kindness, his easy assumption that help was something people just gave. I wondered what his life was like, probably filled with people he could call, problems he could solve with a credit card or a phone call. Must be nice. I changed into the t-shirt and shorts I slept in, washed my face, and lay down on the couch. Through the thin walls, I could hear my neighbor's television. Above me, footsteps crossed back and forth. Normal sounds of people living their lives. Tomorrow I'd figure out the car situation. Tomorrow I'd call the diner and see if I could pick up more shifts. Tomorrow I'd be strong again. But tonight, just for a moment, I let myself imagine what it would be like to have someone to share this burden with. Someone to tell me it would be okay and actually mean it. Someone like Daniel. I pushed the thought away. That wasn't my life. Would never be my life. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. Sleep came eventually, restless and thin. The next morning started like every other. Lily woke me at 6:30, already dressed in the outfit I'd laid out the night before. She'd gotten herself a bowl of cereal, proud of her independence. "Good job, baby," I said, kissing the top of her head. "Can we watch cartoons? Just one episode, then we have to get ready." While Lily watched her show, I changed into my uniform and pulled my hair back. The mirror showed me what I already knew. Dark circles under my eyes, skin too pale, a woman running on empty. I covered what I could with the cheap makeup I had left and called it good enough. My phone rang just as I was packing Lily's lunch. Morrison's Auto Shop. Hello. Emma Jim Morrison again. Listen, I have some interesting news. Daniel Wright called me this morning. He's covering the cost of your repairs. The world seemed to tilt. What? Yeah, he called at 6 a.m., said to fix your car and send him the bill. Said something about you needing to get to work and your daughter needing to get to school. I can't let him do that. Well, he already did. Paid in full. Your car will be ready by noon today. I can deliver it to you if you want. No charge. I sat down heavily at the kitchen table. Daniel had paid for my car. $600 to a complete stranger. Why would he do that? I whispered. Beats me. But Daniel's good people. Known him for 15 years. If he wants to help, I'd let him. After I hung up, I just sat there, phone in hand. Lily appeared in front of me, concern in her dark eyes. Mama, are you sad? No, baby, I'm not sad. I'm just surprised. Good surprised. I pulled her into a hug. Yeah, good surprised. But as I held my daughter, I felt something else beneath the gratitude. Unease. People didn't just help for no reason. There was always a reason. Always a cost. I'd learned that from my family. What did Daniel Wright want from me? The diner was already busy when I arrived at 7. Brenda, the morning cook, gave me a wave through the kitchen window. Marco, the other server, was juggling 4 tables and looking frazzled. Thank God you're here, he said. We're already down 1 person, and the early crowd is brutal today. I tied on my apron and grabbed my order pad. I got sections 3 and 4. Yeah, and Emma. There's some guy at table 12 who's been nursing a coffee for 30 minutes. Keeps looking at his watch. Maybe check on him. Table 12 was in the corner, away from the windows. A quiet spot. I grabbed a coffee pot and headed over. Then I stopped dead. Daniel Wright sat at table 12, dressed in a dark blue suit, his attention on his laptop. But as I approached, he looked up and something like relief crossed his face. Emma. What are you doing here? The words came out sharper than I intended. Having coffee, apparently not very successfully. He gestured to his empty cup. Could I get a refill? I filled his cup with shaking hands. Why did you pay for my car? Because you needed it fixed and I could fix it. We established this last night. That was dinner. This is $600. I'm aware. I set the coffee pot down harder than necessary. Around us, the diner buzzed with morning activity, but I only saw him. This man who'd inserted himself into my life for reasons I couldn't understand. I need to know why, I said quietly. People don't just do things like this. What do you want from me? Daniel closed his laptop and looked up at me. In the harsh diner lighting, I could see the tiredness in his face more clearly, the fine lines around his eyes, the tension in his jaw. I want to offer you a job, he said. The world tilted again. What? A job? At my company. Wright Technologies. I need an executive assistant, and I think you'd be perfect for it. I stared at him. You don't know anything about me. I know you're organized. I watched you call the tow company last night while simultaneously keeping your daughter calm and figuring out your next 3 moves. I know you're smart. The way you evaluated the situation, weighed your options, made decisions. I know you're a hard worker. You're here at 7 in the morning, probably after getting 3 hours of sleep. That doesn't qualify me to be an executive assistant. Maybe not on paper. But I've been through 6 assistants in the last year, all perfectly qualified on paper, all useless in practice. You know what they couldn't do? Anticipate problems. Think 3 steps ahead. Stay calm under pressure. I saw you do all of that last night in a parking lot with a broken car and a sleeping child. I grabbed the coffee pot, needing something to hold. I can't just quit my job and go work for you based on one conversation. Why not? Because I have a daughter who needs stability. Because I can't afford to take risks. Because I don't know you. Fair points. Daniel pulled a business card from his wallet and slid it across the table. But here's what I'm offering. $75,000 a year, full health insurance, dental, vision, 2 weeks paid vacation, flexible hours when you need them for Lily, and a signing bonus of $5,000. The numbers hit me like a physical blow. 75,000. I made barely 28,000 at the diner. Why? I whispered. Because good people are hard to find, and I watched you hold your world together with duct tape and determination last night. That's the kind of person I need. You're crazy. Probably. He stood and pulled on his suit jacket. But I'm serious. Think about it. My number's on the card. You have until Friday to decide. And if I say no, then you say no. The car's still fixed. No strings attached. I mean that. He left cash on the table for the coffee and walked out of the diner. I stood there holding his business card, my hands trembling. Daniel Wright, CEO. Wright Technologies. $75,000. It was impossible. Crazy. Too good to be true, which meant it probably was. But as I went back to work, refilling coffee and taking orders, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop imagining what my life could look like with $75,000 a year, a real apartment, money for Lily's inhaler without having to stretch it, maybe even going back to school. The card burned in my pocket like a promise I was afraid to believe in. My car was delivered at noon, just like Jim Morrison had promised. He handed me the keys with a knowing smile. Runs like a dream now. Daniel's good people, Emma. Whatever he's offering, I'd seriously consider it. After he left, I sat in my car for a long time, engine running smooth and quiet. No strange noises, no grinding or clicking, just the steady hum of a car that worked. Daniel had done this, had seen a problem and fixed it expecting nothing in return, or had he? The job offer complicated everything, made his kindness feel calculated. I pulled out my phone and looked at his business card. Wright Technologies. I Googled it while sitting in the diner parking lot. The website was sleek and professional. Wright Technologies specialized in sustainable energy solutions, solar panels, wind turbines, battery storage, the kind of company that made headlines for innovation. And Daniel Wright was the CEO. 35 years old, Harvard MBA. Built the company from the ground up 10 years ago. Net worth estimated at over $200 million. $200 million. He could buy and sell my entire life with pocket change, and he was offering me a job. I found his profile photo on the company website. Same serious expression, same tired eyes. But in this photo, he was smiling slightly, and I could see the warmth beneath the professional veneer. Good people, Jim Morrison had said. Both he and Margaret at the hotel had treated Daniel with familiar respect. Not the fawning of employees, but the warmth of actual friendship. Maybe he really was good people. Or maybe I was a fool for even considering this. I drove to pick up Lily from the sitter's house, my mind spinning. $75,000. Health insurance. Stability. Everything I'd been fighting for handed to me on a silver platter by a man I'd known for less than 24 hours. It felt like a trap. It felt like a miracle. I didn't know which to believe. Lily was excited about the car working again. She chattered about her day at the sitters, about the craft project they'd made, about the dog next door who'd barked at her. Normal kid stuff. The kind of life I wanted to give her. Could Daniel's offer make that possible? That night after Lily was asleep, I sat on my couch bed and looked at the business card again. The paper was thick, expensive, embossed lettering. The kind of card that said the person behind it had arrived. I thought about my family, about the promises they'd made and broken, about the love that had vanished the moment I'd disappointed them. I thought about my sister Claire, who'd inherited everything while I got nothing, who lived in our parents' house, drove their cars, spent their money, while I served coffee and counted pennies. I thought about Lily asleep in the next room, unaware of how close to the edge we constantly teetered. And I thought about Daniel, about the way he'd helped without judgment, about his offer that seemed impossible. I picked up my phone before I could talk myself out of it. The call rang 3 times before he answered. Emma. How did you know it was me? I was hoping it would be. A pause. Have you decided? Not yet, but I have questions. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. Ask away. Why me? Really? There has to be more to it than watching me in a parking lot for 20 minutes. He was quiet for a moment. Honestly, because you remind me of someone. Who? My mother. She raised me alone after my father left, worked 3 jobs, kept us afloat through sheer force of will. I watched her struggle every day of my childhood, and the one thing I learned was that people who know what it's like to have nothing are the ones who value everything. The honesty in his voice made my chest tight. I'm not your mother, Daniel. I know. But you have that same fire in you, that same refusal to quit. And that's what I need. Someone who understands what's at stake when things get hard. What if I'm terrible at it? Then we'll figure it out together, but I don't think you will be. I close my eyes. This is crazy. Probably, but the best decisions usually are. I need more time. Take until Friday. The offer stands. After I hung up, I sat in the dark living room listening to Lily breathe through the thin wall. My daughter, my responsibility, my entire world. I had until Friday to decide if I was brave enough to take a chance on a better life, or if I was too afraid of what it might cost. The business card sat on the coffee table, white and pristine in the dim light, a door to a different future. I just had to decide if I was willing to walk through it. Wednesday passed in a blur of tables and tips. I smiled at customers' refilled coffee and tried not to think about Daniel's offer, but it was there constant like a song and I couldn't get out of my head. $75,000. Marco noticed me spacing out during the lunch rush. You okay? You seem somewhere else today. Just tired. Girl, you're always tired. This is different. He wasn't wrong, but I couldn't explain it to him. Couldn't say that my entire life might be about to change. Thursday morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. Unknown number. Hello, Emma Torres. A woman's voice, polished and professional. Yes. This is Victoria Chen. I'm the VP of Human Resources at Wright Technologies. Mr. Wright asked me to reach out regarding the executive assistant position. My heart started racing. Okay. If you're interested in the position, we'd like to extend a formal offer. I'm emailing over the paperwork now. It includes everything Mr. Wright discussed with you, plus a comprehensive benefits package. If you accept, you could start as early as Monday. Monday. 5 days from now. I appreciate that, but I haven't actually accepted yet. Of course. The offer is open until Friday at 5 p.m. If you have any questions about the benefits or the position requirements, please don't hesitate to call me directly. After she hung up, I checked my email. There it was, a formal offer letter from Wright Technologies. Everything Daniel had promised, laid out in official terms. Health insurance that would cover Lily's asthma medication completely, vision and dental, a 401k match, paid time off, and that starting salary printed in black and white. $75,000 annually. I could cry or laugh. I wasn't sure which. Instead, I got up, made Lily breakfast, and got ready for my shift at the diner. Normal. I needed normal right now. But when I walked into the diner, Brenda pulled me aside immediately. Emma, honey, you got a delivery. She pointed to the back office. Inside, a massive floral arrangement sat on the desk. Roses, lilies, orchids, more flowers than I'd seen outside of a wedding. The card read, "Whatever you decide, thank you for considering it. D." Who's D? Brenda asked, eyes wide. Someone I met earlier this week. Must be some guy to send flowers like that. I touched one of the rose petals, soft and perfect. Daniel had sent these, not to pressure me, but to thank me, for considering his offer, for letting him help. I realized something then. Daniel wasn't trying to buy me or manipulate me. He genuinely believed I could do this job. Believed in me in a way no one had in years. The question was, did I believe in myself? And I says. Friday morning arrived too quickly. I woke up to Lily jumping on my couch bed, her hair wild, her smile bright. Mama, Mama, it's Friday. I know, baby. Can we have pancakes? Sure. Let me wake up first. But I was already awake, had barely slept actually. too busy thinking about the decision I had to make today. Accept the job, change everything, or stay safe, stay small, stay struggling. I made pancakes while Lily watched cartoons. The apartment felt even smaller than usual this morning. The walls too close, the ceiling too low. This could be our life forever, scraping by, barely making it, one emergency away from disaster, or it could be different. My phone sat on the counter, 5 p.m. That's when the offer expired. I had 10 hours to decide my future. After dropping Lily at the Sitters, I drove to the diner. But instead of parking, I kept driving. Past the building, through town, until I found myself on the outskirts where the nice houses started. Houses with yards, two-car garages, the kind of place where kids rode bikes on the sidewalk and parents didn't have to choose between medicine and groceries. I parked in front of one house in particular, a Victorian with a wraparound porch, flower beds, a tire swing in the front yard. My parents' house, the one Claire lived in now. I hadn't been here in 3 years, hadn't driven down this street, hadn't let myself remember what it felt like to belong somewhere. The front door opened and Claire stepped out. She'd changed her hair, lightened it, but she still had that same confident stride, that same tilt to her chin that said she owned the world. She saw my car and stopped. For a long moment, we just looked at each other through the windshield. Then I drove away. I didn't need her permission to have a better life, didn't need her to validate my choices. I just needed to be brave enough to make them. I drove back to town and parked at the diner. But instead of going inside, I pulled out my phone. 5 hours until the deadline. I thought about Lily, about the life I wanted to give her, about the opportunities I'd missed and the ones I could still take. I thought about my parents who'd chosen their pride over their daughter, about Claire who'd chosen an inheritance over her sister. I thought about Daniel, who'd chosen to help a stranger in a parking lot for no reason other than he could. And I thought about myself, about who I'd been 6 years ago and who I'd become, about who I still wanted to be. I dialed Daniel's number. He answered on the first ring. "Emma, I'll take the job." Silence. Then, yeah, but I have conditions." "I'm listening." "I need 2 weeks to give notice at the diner. They've been good to me. I won't leave them hanging. And I need to know that if this doesn't work out, you'll give me a good reference. I can't afford to burn bridges." "Done." "Anything else? Don't make me regret this." His voice softened. "I won't. I promise." After I hung up, I sat in my car, hands shaking. I'd done it. Changed everything with a phone call. Terror and excitement warred in my chest. I grabbed my order pad and headed into the diner. Brenda looked up from the grill. "You okay?" "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm good. Actually, I'm great. But can I talk to you after the shift?" "Sure, honey." The lunch rush passed in a blur. I smiled at customers and served food and cleared tables, but my mind was somewhere else, somewhere new. At 3 o'clock, the diner emptied. Brenda poured us both coffee and sat across from me in a booth. "So, what's going on?" "I got a job offer, a good one, but I'd need to give my 2 weeks' notice." Brenda studied me for a long moment. "The flowers yesterday, that guy." "Yeah." "Is it legit?" "I think so. I hope so." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Then you take it, sweetheart. You've been running yourself ragged here for years. If someone's offering you something better, you grab it with both hands." "You're not mad." "Mad, Emma. I'm thrilled. You deserve good things. You and that little girl." Tears pricked my eyes. "Thank you." "When do you start?" 2 weeks from Monday." "Then we'll make it work. Now go pick up Lily. Celebrate." I did exactly that. Picked up Lily early, took her to the park, and let her play until she was exhausted and happy. We got ice cream, her favorite chocolate chip. "Why are we celebrating?" she asked, chocolate smeared on her chin. "Because Mama got a new job. A better job." "Yeah, baby, a better job. Will you be less tired?" The question hit me hard. At 5 years old, Lily had noticed how tired I was, how much I struggled. "I hope so," I said softly. She hugged me tight. "Good. I don't like when you're sad, tired." That night, after Lily was asleep, I sat on my couch bed and pulled out the business card one more time. Tomorrow, I'd call Victoria Chen and officially accept. Start the paperwork. Begin the process of changing my life. But tonight, I let myself feel it. The fear, the hope, the terrifying possibility that this might actually work. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Thank you for trusting me. You won't regret it. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thank you for seeing me. Because that's what he'd done. In a parking lot in the rain, with everything falling apart around me, Daniel Wright had seen me. Not the struggling single mom or the waitress in the cheap uniform. Just me. Emma. A person worth investing in. I didn't know if this would work. Didn't know if I could really do this job. But I was going to try. For Lily, for myself, for the life we deserved. I set the phone down and closed my eyes. Monday, everything would change. I just had to be brave enough to let it. The Wright Technologies building was all glass and steel, reaching 15 stories into the Seattle skyline. I stood on the sidewalk that Monday morning, staring up at it like it might disappear if I looked away. 2 weeks had passed since I'd accepted Daniel's offer. 2 weeks of paperwork, background checks, and sleepless nights wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. But here I was, first day. I adjusted the blazer I'd bought from a thrift store, hoping it looked professional enough. My hands were shaking. You can do this, I whispered to myself. The lobby was impressive. Marble floors, modern art on the walls, a reception desk that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. Everything was clean lines and sophisticated simplicity. The receptionist looked up as I approached, young, polished with the kind of confidence I was trying to fake. Good morning. How can I help you? I'm Emma Torres. It's my first day. I'm Mr. Wright's new executive assistant. Her eyes widened slightly. Oh, yes, of course. Welcome. Mr. Wright said to send you right up when you arrived, 15th floor. She handed me a temporary badge and gestured toward the elevators. I thanked her and crossed the lobby, hyper-aware of every step, every sound. The elevator was empty. I watched the numbers climb my reflection, staring back at me from the polished doors. I looked terrified. Get it together, Emma. The 15th floor opened onto a reception area even more impressive than the lobby. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Modern furniture in grays and blues, and behind a sleek desk sat a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. She stood as I approached, extending a perfectly manicured hand. Emma Torres, I'm Sophia Chen, office manager. Welcome to Wright Technologies. Thank you. Mr. Wright is in a meeting, but asked me to show you around. Your workspace is this way. And she led me through a set of glass doors into an open office space. People worked at desks, moved between conference rooms, talked in clusters. Everyone looked purposeful, competent, like they belonged. I felt like an imposter. Sophia stopped at a desk just outside a corner office. The desk was pristine. New computer, 2 monitors, a phone system that looked complicated. Everything was waiting for me. This is you, Sophia said, and that's Mr. Wright's office. You'll be his first point of contact for everything. Meetings, calls, scheduling, correspondence. Victoria should have sent you the full job description. She did. Good. Your login credentials are in this envelope. I'll give you an hour to get settled, then I'll come back and walk you through the systems we use. Any questions so far? About 1,000. But I just shook my head. Sophia smiled warm and genuine. You're going to do great. Daniel doesn't make hiring mistakes. And after she left, I sat at my new desk and tried to process everything. The view alone was worth more than my entire apartment. I could see the Space Needle from here, the harbor, the mountains in the distance. This was my life now. I pulled out my phone and texted Lily's sitter. First day going okay. Call if you need anything. Then I opened the envelope with my credentials and started logging in. The computer was new fast. The software was intuitive. I spent the next hour exploring learning, trying to memorize everything I'd need to know. At 9:30, Daniel's office door opened. He stepped out with 3 people in business attire, all talking rapidly about something technical. But when he saw me, he paused mid-sentence. Gentlemen, give me 1 moment. He crossed to my desk and I stood automatically. Emma, you made it. I did. How are you feeling? Terrified. He smiled. Good. That means you care. He lowered his voice. You're going to be fine. Sophia will train you on the systems. If you need anything, just ask. And Emma, I'm glad you're here. Before I could respond, one of the businessmen cleared his throat. Right, Daniel said. Back to work. We'll talk later. He returned to his meeting and they disappeared down the hall toward a conference room. I sat back down, my heart racing. Daniel had looked genuinely happy to see me. Not like a boss greeting an employee. Like someone glad a friend had shown up. Maybe this would be okay. Sophia returned at 10 and spent the next 3 hours walking me through everything. The calendar system, the phone protocols, how to prioritize emails, how to handle Daniel's schedule, which was apparently a complex puzzle of meetings, calls, travel, and unexpected emergencies. The key is anticipation, Sophia explained. Daniel moves fast. He thinks 3 steps ahead. Your job is to be 4 steps ahead. If he has a meeting in San Francisco on Tuesday, make sure his flight is booked, his hotel is ready, his car service is confirmed, and his presentation is uploaded to his iPad before he asks. That sounds impossible. It takes practice, but you'll get there. Daniel's actually one of the easier executives to work for. He's direct, doesn't play games, and if he says something, he means it. What happened to the last assistant, Shoma? Sophia's expression shifted slightly. Sarah. She was great at the technical side, but couldn't handle the pressure. This job requires someone who can stay calm when everything's on fire. Daniel seems to think you can do that. I hope he's right. He usually is. By lunch, my brain was overflowing with information. Sophia took me to the company cafeteria, which served food that actually looked and tasted good. We sat by the windows, and she pointed out different people. That's Marcus Webb, VP of Operations. Nice guy, terrible at email. You'll spend a lot of time coordinating with his assistant. That's Jennifer Liu, head of R&D. Brilliant, but forget she exists unless Daniel has a meeting with her. And that's Thomas Richardson, CFO. He and Daniel butt heads sometimes, so heads up if they're meeting together. I tried to memorize names and faces, knowing I'd probably mix them all up at first. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. Why did Daniel hire me? I mean, really. I don't have any of the experience someone in this position usually has. Sophia considered this. Honestly, I think he saw something in you that reminded him of himself. Daniel built this company from nothing. He understands what it's like to fight for everything. Most of the people here come from privilege, good schools, family connections. You don't, and I think that matters to him. That's what he said, that I reminded him of his mother. His mom's a tough lady, raised Daniel alone after his dad left. Worked multiple jobs to put him through school. He's crazy loyal to people who prove themselves through adversity. Sophia paused. Look, I know this seems overwhelming, but Daniel doesn't throw people into situations they can't handle. If he hired you, it's because he believes you can do this. And honestly, after meeting you, I think he's right. The kindness in her voice made my throat tight. Thank you. We're on the same team now. You need help, you ask. Deal. Deal. The afternoon was a blur of more training, more systems, more information. By 5 o'clock, my head was spinning. Daniel appeared as I was shutting down my computer. First day survive. Barely. He laughed. That's about right. Can we talk for a few minutes in my office? I followed him into the corner office. It was impressive, but not ostentatious. Large desk, comfortable chairs, bookshelves filled with actual books, photos on the credenza showing Daniel with various people at different events. He gestured to a chair and sat across from me, not behind his desk. Equals not boss and employee. I want to check in, he said. Really check in. How are you feeling about all this? Overwhelmed, but okay, I think. Sophia's good. She'll get you up to speed. She's been great. I hesitated. Can I ask you something? Anything. What if I fail? What if I can't do this job? Daniel leaned back, considering. Then we'll figure out why and fix it. But Emma, I didn't hire you thinking you'd fail. I hired you because I watched you handle an impossible situation with grace and determination. That's what this job requires. The technical stuff, the systems, the protocols, all of that can be learned. But the ability to stay calm under pressure, to think clearly when things are chaotic, to care about getting it right, that can't be taught. You already have it. How do you know? Because I saw it. In that parking lot with your daughter asleep in the back seat and your car dead and your world falling apart, you didn't panic. You assessed the situation and made a plan. That's the person I need beside me. I looked down at my hands. I'm scared I'll let you down. That fear will make you better at this job, not worse. He paused. Emma, I'm going to tell you something I don't tell many people. When I started this company 10 years ago, I was terrified every single day. Terrified I'd fail. Terrified I'd prove everyone right who said I couldn't do it. Terrified I'd lose everything. That fear pushed me to work harder, think smarter, refuse to quit. So being scared, that's not a weakness. It's proof you understand what's at stake. His honesty disarmed me. This wasn't just my boss giving me a pep talk. This was someone who understood. Thank you, I said softly. How's Lily doing with the new schedule? She's okay. The sitter I found is closer to the office, so the commute's better, and having health insurance. I stopped emotion catching in my throat. I took her to the doctor last week for a real checkup. First time in 2 years. They adjusted her asthma medication. Better inhaler. She can breathe easier now. Daniel's expression softened. Good. That's what matters. I can't thank you enough for... Stop. We've been over this. You're earning this job, Emma, every day. This isn't charity, it's employment. You provide value, I compensate you fairly. That's how it works. But it felt like more than that. Felt like someone had reached down into my struggling life and pulled me up to solid ground. Go home, Daniel said, checking his watch. Pick up your daughter. Tomorrow we'll hit the ground running, but tonight just breathe. I stood. Daniel. Yeah. I won't let you down. I know. Yeah, for my eye. The next 3 weeks blurred together in a rush of learning and adapting. I memorized Daniel's preferences. Coffee black from the third-floor break room, not the cafeteria. Meetings scheduled in 45-minute blocks, not hour-long ones, with 15-minute buffers in between. He liked hard copies of reports annotated in the margins. He thought better while walking. So important conversations often happened in the stairwell. I learned to anticipate. When he mentioned a potential trip to Boston, I had 3 flights options and 2 hotels ready before he asked. When a meeting ran long, I rescheduled his next one without being told. When he worked through lunch, I made sure food appeared on his desk. Sophia had been right. The key was staying 4 steps ahead. And slowly, surprisingly, I got better at it. By the end of the first month, I could manage Daniel's calendar in my sleep, could prioritize emails, handle calls, coordinate with other departments. Could tell when he was stressed just by the way he held his shoulders. We developed a rhythm, a partnership that worked. You're a natural at this, Sophia said one afternoon as we coordinated a complex 3-day conference. Seriously, Sarah took 6 months to get where you are in 1. I just don't want to screw up. That's what makes you good at it. But it wasn't just the job that was changing. It was my entire life. The first paycheck hit my account, and I'd sat staring at the number for 10 minutes. More money than I'd made in 3 months at the diner. I paid off my overdue bills, bought Lily new shoes that actually fit, went grocery shopping without calculating every item. We moved out of the cramped apartment into a 2-bedroom place closer to the office. Nothing fancy, but it had a real bedroom for me. A small yard where Lily could play. Neighbors who didn't blast music at 2 a.m. Lily bloomed with the stability. Her asthma improved with proper medication. She enrolled in kindergarten at a better school, made friends, came home every day with stories and drawings and that bright joy only children possessed. Mama, I love our new house, she said one night as I tucked her in. Me too, baby. Are we going to stay here? The question hurt. At 5 years old, she'd learned not to expect permanence. Yes, I said firmly. This is home now. We're staying. She smiled and closed her eyes content. That was what Daniel had given us. Not just a job or a paycheck, security. the feeling that we weren't constantly about to fall off the edge. But the more stable my life became, the more I thought about my family, about the people who'd abandoned me when I needed them most. My parents were dead now. My father had passed 3 years ago, my mother a year before that. But Claire was very much alive, living in our parents' house, managing their estate, pretending I didn't exist. I tried not to think about her, about what she'd done, how she'd manipulated our dying father into cutting me from the will. But late at night, when I couldn't sleep, the old anger would surface. She'd gotten everything. I'd gotten nothing. Except I hadn't gotten nothing. I'd gotten Lily. I'd gotten strength. I'd gotten myself. And now I had this job, this life, these possibilities. Maybe I'd gotten the better deal after all. 2 months into the job, Daniel asked me to stay late for a dinner meeting with potential investors. High stakes, important people. He needed me there to take notes and handle logistics. Are you sure? I asked. I've never done something like this before. You'll be fine. Just be yourself. The restaurant was the kind of place I'd only seen in movies. Dim lighting, expensive wine waiters in suits. Daniel's guests were 2 brothers who ran a venture capital firm. I sat at the end of the table laptop, open, quietly documenting the conversation. But as the night progressed, I found myself drawn into the discussion. The brothers were considering a major investment in Wright Technologies' new solar storage technology. The ROI timeline concerns us, the older brother said. 7 years is a long time. For traditional investments, yes, Daniel replied. But this isn't traditional. This is infrastructure that will become essential. The question isn't if it will pay off, but how much. Still a gamble. Daniel glanced at me, and I saw something in his expression, a question maybe, or a challenge. I cleared my throat. Can I say something? All 3 men looked at me. The ROI timeline assumes steady market growth, I said. But what if you factor in the federal incentives coming down the pipeline? The infrastructure bill includes significant tax credits for renewable energy storage. That could cut the timeline to 4 years, maybe less. The younger brother leaned forward. What incentives specifically? I pulled up the document I'd read last week while researching for Daniel's congressional testimony. Section 48C provides a 30% investment tax credit for qualifying energy storage projects, and there's additional state-level incentives in California, New York, and Texas. If Wright Technologies focuses deployment in those markets first, the economics shift significantly. Silence around the table. Then the older brother smiled. She's right. We hadn't factored those in properly. Daniel's expression was unreadable, but his eyes held something that might have been pride. The rest of the dinner went smoothly. By the end, the brothers had agreed in principle to the investment. Pending due diligence, of course, but the deal was essentially done. In the car ride back to the office, Daniel was quiet. Did I overstep? I asked finally. Speaking up like that? No. He looked at me. Where did you learn about the federal incentives? I read your testimony prep materials last week. I like to understand the context of what you're working on. Emma, do you realize what you just did? You potentially saved that deal. They were leaning toward passing, and you gave them the data they needed to say yes. I just mentioned the tax credits. You did more than that. You understood the business, synthesized the information, and communicated it clearly at exactly the right moment. That's not just good assistant work. That's strategic thinking. His praise made me uncomfortable. I was just trying to help. I know. But Emma, you have business instincts. Good ones. Have you ever thought about going back to school? Finishing your degree. The question caught me off guard. I can't afford to say Wright Technologies has a tuition reimbursement program, full coverage for employees pursuing degrees relevant to their work. You'd qualify. I stared out the window at the city lights blurring past. I dropped out 6 years ago when I got pregnant. I was studying business administration. You could finish. Part-time online. We'd work around your schedule. Why would you do that? Because you're talented and talent should be developed. He paused. Think about it. No pressure. But the option's there if you want it. And that night I lay in my real bed, in my real bedroom, and thought about it. Going back to school. Finishing what I'd started. Becoming more than just someone's assistant. The idea terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. 3 months in, I was comfortable. The job still challenged me, but I'd found my rhythm. Daniel and I worked well together, often communicating in shorthand, finishing each other's sentences. Then one Tuesday, everything shifted. I was at my desk when the elevator doors opened and a woman stepped out. Mid-20s, blonde, beautiful, in that effortless way some people managed. She wore designer clothes and carried herself like someone who'd never doubted her place in the world. She walked straight to my desk. "I'm here to see Daniel. Do you have an appointment?" "I don't need one. I'm his sister." Sister. Daniel had never mentioned a sister. "Let me check if he's available." "He'll see me." I buzzed Daniel's office. "There's someone here to see you. She says she's your sister." A long pause. Then, "Send her in." The woman swept past me without another word. Through the glass walls, I watched their interaction. The woman said something. Daniel's face went hard. He stood, his posture tense, defensive. This was not a happy reunion. They talked for 20 minutes. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see the emotion. The woman was animated, gesturing, pleading maybe. Daniel remained still, arms crossed, expression closed. Finally, the woman left his office, eyes bright with tears. She stopped at my desk. "You must be the new assistant." "Emma Torres." "Rebecca Wright. I'm sure my brother has mentioned me." Her tone suggested she knew he hadn't. "Do me a favor. Tell Daniel that the offer stands. He knows how to reach me." Then she was gone, disappearing into the elevator. I sat at my desk, unsure what to do. Daniel remained in his office, standing by the window, staring out at the city. After 15 minutes, I made a decision. I went to the break room, made his coffee exactly how he liked it, and knocked on his door. "Come in." He didn't turn from the window. I set the coffee on his desk. "Thought you might need this." "Thanks." I turned to leave. "Emma." I stopped. "My sister and I don't speak," he said, still looking out the window. "Haven't for 5 years. She just showed up to ask for money. Again." I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. "Family's complicated," he continued. "Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you are the ones who hurt you most." My chest tightened. I knew that truth intimately. "Yeah," I said softly. "It is." He finally turned to look at me. "You get it. I can hear it in your voice." "My family disowned me when I got pregnant. Haven't spoken to most of them in 6 years. Something passed between us. Understanding. Recognition. 2 people who'd been hurt by the ones who should have protected them." "I'm sorry," Daniel said. "Me too." We stood there for a moment, connected by shared pain we rarely spoke about. "Thank you for the coffee," he said finally. "Any time." I left his office, but something had shifted. We weren't just boss and employee anymore. We were 2 people who understood each other's scars. That evening, I stayed late to finish preparing materials for Daniel's morning meetings. Most of the office had cleared out, just the cleaning crew and a few workaholics scattered across different floors. I was printing documents when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello." "Emma. It's Jim Morrison from the auto shop." "Hi, Jim. Is everything okay?" "Yeah, fine. Actually, I'm calling because someone was asking about you today. A woman. Blonde, expensive car. Said she was trying to find you but didn't have your current contact information." My stomach dropped. "Did she give a name?" "Claire something. Said she was your sister." "Claire." After all these years of silence, she was looking for me. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing. Told her I couldn't give out customer information. But Emma, she seemed pretty determined. Mentioned she'd try your old address next. Thanks for letting me know, Jim." "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just family stuff." After I hung up, I sat at my desk, hands shaking. Claire was looking for me. Why? After 6 years of nothing. Why now? "Emma." I jumped. Daniel stood in the doorway of his office jacket, off sleeves rolled up. "Sorry, didn't mean to startle you. You okay?" "You look upset." "I'm fine. Just got a weird phone call. Want to talk about it?" "Did I?" We'd shared a moment earlier, a connection, but this felt different, more personal. "My sister's looking for me," I said finally. "We haven't spoken in 6 years, since my father's funeral." Daniel came over and leaned against my desk. "Do you want to talk to her?" "I don't know. Part of me is curious. Part of me is just angry. She got everything when my parents died. The house, the money, everything. I got cut out completely." "That's why they disowned you." "Because you got pregnant." That was the reason they gave. But honestly, I think they were just disappointed I wasn't the daughter they wanted. Claire was always the favorite. Perfect grades, perfect boyfriend, perfect life. I was the screw-up who got pregnant by a guy who disappeared the day I told him. "You're not a screw-up." The certainty in his voice made me look up. "You're a single mother who's raising an incredible kid while working your ass off to build a better life," Daniel continued. "You're strong, capable, and one of the best hires I've ever made. Your family's loss is my gain." Tears pricked my eyes. "Thank you." "I mean it. And as for your sister, you don't owe her anything. If you want to talk to her, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. But don't let her back into your life because you feel guilty or obligated. Let her in because you want to." His words settled something in me. "How did you handle it when your sister came today?" "I told her no. Again. She wants me to fund her startup. Third one in 5 years. The first 2 failed because she didn't put in the work. I'm not enabling that anymore." Was it hard saying no? Harder than it should be. She's family. But I learned that family doesn't mean accepting toxic behavior. Sometimes love means boundaries. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "Want to grab dinner?" Daniel asked suddenly. "Nothing fancy, just food. Sounds like we both could use the distraction." I should have said no, should have gone home to Lily, but the sitter had her until 9, and the thought of sitting alone in my apartment thinking about Claire made my chest tight. "Okay," I said, "but nothing expensive. My treat." "Deal." We ended up at a small Thai place 3 blocks from the office, the kind of restaurant with plastic chairs and phenomenal food. We ordered pad thai and green curry and talked about everything except work and family. Daniel told me about growing up in a small town in Oregon, about his mother who still lived there, about building his first computer from spare parts when he was 12. I told him about Lily, about her favorite books, and her imaginary friend and the way she arranged her stuffed animals by size every night before bed. It was easy, comfortable, like talking to someone I'd known for years instead of months. "Can I ask you something?" Daniel said as we waited for the check. "Sure." "Do you ever regret it?" "Having Lily." The question should have offended me. Instead, I understood what he was really asking. "No," I said. "Never. My life would have been easier without her, but it wouldn't have been better. She's the best thing that ever happened to me." "Your family couldn't see that." "No. They saw shame and disappointment, couldn't understand why I wouldn't just get rid of the problem. But you chose her over them. Every time, without hesitation." Daniel smiled. "That's why you're going to be fine. People who choose love over comfort always are." Outside the restaurant, we stood on the sidewalk. The night was cool, the city alive around us. "Thank you," I said, "for dinner, for the conversation, for everything." "Thank you for saying yes." He hesitated. "Emma, I know I'm your boss, and this is probably inappropriate, but I consider you a friend. Is that okay?" "Friend." The word settled warm in my chest. "Yeah," I said. "That's okay." We said goodnight, and I drove home. But all the way there, I thought about Daniel's question, about choosing love over comfort, about the decisions that defined us. I'd chosen Lily over my family's approval, chosen struggle over abandoning my principles, chosen hard over easy, and maybe, just maybe, those choices had led me exactly where I needed to be. The next morning, Claire was waiting in the lobby when I arrived at work. She stood by the windows looking out at the city. Same confident posture, same perfect hair. But when she turned and saw me, something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, or regret. "Emma." "Claire, What are you doing here? I went to your old apartment, your old job, finally tracked you down through the auto shop. She looked around the impressive lobby. This is quite the upgrade. What do you want? To talk? Can we go somewhere private? Every instinct screamed to say no, to walk away and never look back. But curiosity won. There's a coffee shop next door, 5 minutes. We sat across from each other in a corner booth. Claire ordered a latte. I got black coffee. Small differences that felt significant. You look good, Claire said. Better than I've seen you in years. What do you want, Claire? She flinched at my tone. I want to apologize. The words hung between us. I'm sorry, she continued, for everything, for not standing up for you when Mom and Dad disowned you, for taking the inheritance, for being a terrible sister. I waited. There had to be more. I've been thinking a lot lately, Claire said. About family, about what matters. I'm getting married next spring, and I realized I don't want to do it without you there. You're my sister, the only family I have left. You chose that inheritance over me, I said quietly. You didn't fight for me. You just took everything and moved on. I know, and I was wrong. I was 23 and scared and selfish. Dad was manipulative at the end, playing us against each other. I should have seen through it, should have split everything with you anyway. But you didn't. No, I didn't. She met my eyes. I'm not asking you to forgive me right away. I'm just asking for a chance to make it right, to be sisters again. Part of me wanted to say yes, to have family again, to believe her. But Daniel's words echoed in my mind. Don't let her in because you feel guilty or obligated. Let her in because you want to. I need time, I said. 6 years of silence isn't erased with one apology. I understand. But Emma, I mean it. I want you in my life. I want to meet Lily. I want to be the aunt I should have been all along. Lily. She wanted to meet my daughter. We'll see, I said. I have your number. If I decide I'm ready, I'll call. Claire nodded. That's fair. She stood to leave, then paused. You really do look happy. Happier than I've ever seen you. After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for a long time thinking. Claire wanted back in my life, wanted to be family again. And despite everything, part of me wanted that too. Wanted Lily to have an aunt, wanted someone who shared my history, my blood. But wanting something didn't make it safe, didn't make it right. I thought about my life now, about Lily thriving in kindergarten, about my job that challenged and fulfilled me, about Daniel's friendship, Sophia's mentorship, the stability I'd built from nothing. I'd created a good life without my family. The question was whether I was willing to risk it by letting them back in. I didn't have an answer yet, but I knew who did. I texted Daniel, "Can we talk later?" Sister showed up. His response came immediately. My office, any time. And for the first time in 6 years, I didn't feel alone in facing my family. I had someone in my corner. That changed everything. I found Daniel in his office an hour later, reviewing financial projections on his computer. He looked up when I knocked, immediately closing his laptop. Come in, sit. I settled into the chair across from him. Through the windows behind him, Seattle spread out under gray clouds. Rain was coming. You could feel it in the air. Claire apologized, I said. Said she wants me in her life again. Wants to meet Lily. She's getting married in the spring. Daniel leaned back, studying me. How do you feel about that? Confused, angry, hopeful, suspicious, all of it at once. What does your gut tell you? I thought about it. Really thought. That she means it, but also that it's easy to apologize when your life is going well. She's getting married, probably feels sentimental about family. But will she still want me around when things get hard again? That's fair to question. Daniel paused. Can I tell you about my sister, the whole story? I nodded. Rebecca's 3 years younger than me. When we were kids, we were close. But after I started the company, after I became successful, she changed. Started seeing me as a bank instead of a brother. Every few months, she'd show up with a new business idea asking for funding. The first time I said yes, gave her $50,000. The business failed within 6 months. She never paid me back, never even tried. He stood and walked to the window, hands in his pockets. The second time she wanted 100,000, said she'd learned from her mistakes. I gave it to her because she was family. That business lasted 4 months. Same pattern. No accountability, no follow-through, just excuses and another handout for more money. But you kept saying yes. For a while, because she was my sister and I felt guilty for being successful when she was struggling. Took me 3 years and almost $500,000 to realize I wasn't helping her. I was enabling her. She never learned to stand on her own because I kept catching her every time she fell. Daniel turned to face me. When she showed up yesterday, it was ask number 7, another startup idea, another funding request, and I finally said no, not because I don't love her, but because love sometimes means letting people face their own consequences. How did she react? Angry. Accused me of being cruel and selfish. Said I'd changed. That success had made me heartless. He smiled sadly. Maybe she's right, but I can't keep sacrificing my peace for her poor decisions. I understood what he was telling me. You think Claire's the same, that she wants something from me. I think people rarely change their core patterns without significant work. Your sister took an inheritance that should have been split. That tells me something about how she operates. Now she's reaching out when her life is good, when she's getting married and feeling magnanimous. But what happens when things get hard? Will she stand by you then? I don't know. And that's the point. You don't know. So you protect yourself and Lily until you do. His words made sense, but they also made me sad, because part of me wanted to believe people could change, that Claire could be the sister I'd once loved. What should I do? Set boundaries. If you want to let her back in, do it slowly, on your terms. Don't give her access to your whole life until she's proven she deserves it, and protect Lily above everything else. I nodded. Thank you. Anytime. He checked his watch. You should go. Pick up Lily early. Spend the evening with her. Tomorrow's going to be crazy with the board meeting. Right, the board meeting. I'd been preparing for it all week. Daniel's quarterly review of company performance. High stakes, high stress. You'll be fine. You've done excellent work on the prep materials. As I gathered my things, Daniel called my name. Yeah? For what it's worth, I think you're handling this exactly right. Your sister hurt you. You have every right to be cautious. But I also hope she proves me wrong. I hope she's genuine, because you deserve to have family who loves you. The kindness in his voice made my throat tight. Thanks, Daniel. Sham. That evening, I picked up Lily early and took her to the park. She ran through the playground equipment with boundless energy while I sat on a bench and watched. My phone buzzed. Claire. Thank you for meeting with me today. I know I have a lot to prove. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. See. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. I appreciate that, but I need you to understand if you're back in my life, you're back all the way. That means through hard times too, not just the good stuff. I can't do this halfway. Her response came quickly. I understand. I won't let you down again. Words were easy. Action was what mattered. Mama, Lily called from the top of the slide. Watch me. I put my phone away and watched my daughter fly down the slide laughing. This was what mattered. This moment. This joy. This life we'd built. Everything else was secondary. The board meeting this next day was intense. 15 executives sitting around a conference table dissecting every aspect of Right Technology's performance. Daniel presented quarterly results, fielded questions, defended strategic decisions. I sat in the corner with my laptop taking notes, pulling up documents when requested, managing the flow of information. Sophia had coached me extensively, but nothing quite prepared you for the pressure of a room full of powerful people asking hard questions. 3 hours and one of the board members, Thomas Richardson, challenged Daniel's decision to expand into the Asian market. The capital expenditure is too aggressive, Thomas said. We should consolidate our domestic position first. With respect, Thomas, we don't have time to consolidate. The Asian market is moving fast. If we wait, we lose our competitive advantage. Show me the data that supports that timeline. Daniel looked at me. I already had the file open, had anticipated this question based on Thomas's previous comments. I sent it to the conference room screen, highlighting the relevant sections. Slide 7 shows market growth projections, I said quietly. Slide 12 shows our competitors' expansion timelines. We're already 6 months behind two major competitors. Waiting longer puts us at significant risk. The room went silent. A board member's assistant didn't usually speak during meetings, but Thomas studied the data, then nodded slowly. Point taken. The timeline makes sense. The meeting continued, and Daniel caught my eye for just a moment. A small nod. Thank you. When it finally ended, 4 hours later, the board members filed out. Daniel loosened his tie and sank into his chair. That was brutal. You were great. We were great. That save with Thomas's question was clutch. I started packing up my laptop. Just doing my job. Emma. He waited until I looked at him. You're doing more than your job. You're thinking strategically, contributing meaningfully. That presentation you put together was board-level work. I just organized the information. You synthesized complex data into a clear narrative. That's not just organization. That's analysis. His praise made me uncomfortable. I'm just trying to be useful. You are, more than you realize. He stood and stretched. Have you thought more about school, about finishing your degree? I had. Had pulled up the university website late at night, looked at their online business administration program. Had imagined what it would feel like to walk across a stage and finally get that diploma. I'm thinking about it, I admitted. Don't just think, do it. You have the talent, Emma. You just need the credentials to match. It's a big commitment. So is staying where you are. You're 29. You have 40 years of career ahead of you. Invest in yourself now, and those 40 years look very different. He was right. I knew he was right. I'll apply for the spring semester, I said. Daniel smiled. Good. And Emma, I'm proud of you. The words hit me harder than they should have. When was the last time someone had said that to me? My parents certainly never had. They'd been disappointed, critical, distant, even before I got pregnant. But Daniel was proud of me. Thank you, I whispered. 2 weeks later, Claire called. I know you said you needed time, but I have something I want to give you. Can we meet just for coffee? Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at the same coffee shop as before. This time, Claire brought a manila envelope. I've been going through paperwork, she said, settling some final things from Dad's estate. I found something. She slid the envelope across the table. Inside were legal documents. A trust fund, in my name. What is this? Dad set up a trust for you when you were born. $50,000. It was supposed to mature when you turned 30. He never mentioned it in the will because it was separate from the estate. It's yours. Always has been. I stared at the documents. $50,000. Money my father had set aside for me before everything fell apart. Why are you giving this to me now? Because it's yours. Because I should have given it to you 3 years ago when I found it. Because I was petty and angry that you'd abandoned the family, and I convinced myself you didn't deserve it. Her honesty surprised me. I've been going to therapy, Claire continued, working through a lot of things, and I realized I was wrong about so much. You didn't abandon us. We abandoned you, and I compounded that by keeping what was rightfully yours. I looked at the trust documents. $50,000 would change everything. Pay for school. Build a real savings account. Give Lily opportunities I'd never dreamed of. Thank you, I said. It's not a gift. It's what you were always owed. I'm just sorry it took me this long to do the right thing. We sat in silence for a moment. Claire, can I ask you something? Anything. Why now? Why therapy? Why the apology? Why all of this? She smiled sadly. Because I met someone who makes me want to be better. My fiancé, Marcus. He asked about my family, about you. And when I told him what happened, he looked at me like I was a stranger. Said he didn't recognize the person I was describing. That made me realize I didn't recognize her either. Love changes people. It does. He makes me want to be the person I should have been all along. She paused. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm hoping to earn it slowly if you'll let me. I thought about Daniel's warnings, about protecting myself and Lily, about setting boundaries. Okay, I said, but we go slow. You want to be in my life? Prove it. Show up. Be consistent. Don't just disappear when things get hard or inconvenient. I can do that. And if you want to meet Lily, that happens on my timeline, not yours, when I'm ready. Understood. We talked for another hour. About her fiancé, about her therapy, about the business she was starting without asking anyone for money. She seemed different, more grounded, more self-aware. Maybe people could change. Or maybe I was being naive. Time would tell. I applied for school that evening. Online business administration program part-time. 18 months to completion if I took 2 classes per semester. The application asked about my motivation. I wrote about Lily, about wanting to show her that it's never too late to finish what you started, about building a future where she never had to worry the way I had. 3 days later, I got my acceptance letter. I stared at it for 10 minutes, barely breathing. Then I called Daniel. I got in. Emma! That's fantastic. Congratulations. I'm terrified, he laughed. Good. Means you care. When do you start? January, spring semester. Perfect. We'll adjust your schedule as needed. Make it work. That night, I told Lily over dinner, Mama's going back to school, baby. I'm going to finish my college degree. Her eyes went wide. Really? Really? It's going to mean I'll be studying sometimes at night, but we'll make it work together. Lily jumped up and hugged me. I'm proud of you, Mama. 6 years old, and she was proud of me. My chest felt so full it hurt. I'm doing this for you, I said, to show you that we don't give up. We keep going. I know, Mama. You always keep going. The holidays arrived. My first Christmas with actual money to spend. I bought Lily everything on her list and a few extras. We decorated our apartment with lights and a real tree. I even hosted a small dinner inviting my sitter and her family. Claire called on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, Emma. I was hoping, could I drop off a gift for Lily? I don't have to come in. I can just leave it on your doorstep. I hesitated. Then, you can come in for a few minutes. Meet her properly. The doorbell rang an hour later. Claire stood there with a wrapped present and nervous eyes. Come in. Lily was in her pajamas, playing with her new toys. She looked up when Claire entered. Lily, this is your Aunt Claire, my sister. Hi, Lily said, suddenly shy. Claire knelt down to her level. Hi, Lily. I've heard so much about you. Your mom says you are an excellent artist. Lily brightened. I like to draw. Mama puts my pictures on the fridge. I'd love to see them sometime. Claire handed her the gift. This is for you. Merry Christmas. Lily looked at me for permission. I nodded. She tore open the paper to reveal a deluxe art set. Crayons, markers, colored pencils, a sketchbook. Her face lit up. Thank you. You're welcome, sweetheart. We had hot chocolate and cookies. Claire was good with Lily, patient and attentive. She asked questions and listened to the answers. Didn't try too hard or overstay her welcome. After she left, Lily said, I like Aunt Claire. Yeah, why? She looks at me like you look at me, like I'm special. Out of the mouths of children. She is family baby. We're giving her another chance. That's good. Everyone deserves chances. If only the world worked the way 6-year-olds thought it should. I should say. January came, and with it, my first class. Introduction to Business Strategy. I logged into the virtual classroom from my laptop after putting Lily to bed, nervous and excited. The professor was engaging. The material was challenging, but interesting. And sitting in that virtual classroom, taking notes, participating in discussions, I felt something I hadn't in years. Hope. For a different future. A bigger life. The work was hard. Balancing my job, Lily, and schoolwork meant late nights and careful scheduling. But Daniel was true to his word, flexing my hours when I needed to attend virtual lectures or work on projects. How's it going, he asked one day in February. Exhausting, but good, really good. Grades. All A's so far. Of course they are. He smiled. I knew you could do this. You had more faith than I did. That's what friends are for. Friends. We'd become that over the last 6 months. Real friends who grabbed lunch together, who texted about random things, who trusted each other. Sometimes I wondered if it was more than friendship. The way Daniel looked at me occasionally, the way my heart picked up when he walked into a room. But he was my boss. I was his employee. That line couldn't be crossed, even if part of me wanted to. In March, Claire invited me to meet her fiancé. Dinner at their place, casual and low-key. Marcus was warm and genuine, a pediatric surgeon, with kind eyes and an easy laugh. He treated Claire with obvious love and respect. And when she talked about our reconciliation, he looked proud of her. I'm glad you two are rebuilding, he said. Family's important. It is, I agreed. But it has to be healthy. We're working on that. That's all anyone can do. Work on it. I liked him. Liked them together. For the first time, I believed Claire might actually follow through. Over the next few months, she proved it. She showed up for coffee dates, remembered Lily's birthday, sent encouraging texts about my classes. Small things, but consistent. Slowly, carefully, we became sisters again. In May, Daniel called me into his office with unusual formality. Sit down. I need to talk to you about something. My stomach dropped. Am I being fired? What no? The opposite, actually. He slid a document across his desk. I'm promoting you, VP of Strategic Operations. You'd be overseeing project management coordinating between departments handling high-level client relations. Significant pay increase. Your own team. I stared at the offer letter, VP, after 8 months as an assistant. This is insane. This is deserved. Emma, you've been operating at this level for months. The board presentation, the investor dinner, the way you've streamlined our operations. You're ready for this. I haven't even finished my degree. So experience matters more than credentials, though finishing the degree will help with external credibility. VP, my own team. A salary that made my original offer look small. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Then help me build the best operations team in the industry. I thought about the parking lot 8 months ago, about sitting in my dead car, holding my sleeping daughter, wondering how I'd survive. About Daniel appearing like an unlikely guardian angel. Yes, I said. Absolutely yes. Daniel's smile was brilliant. Good. Now let's figure out who we're hiring to replace you as my assistant. You're sure about this? Emma, I've never been more sure of anything. Yes. The promotion changed everything. More responsibility, more visibility, more impact. I hired a team of 3, training them the way Sophia had trained me. I finished my spring semester with straight A's, enrolled for summer classes, told Lily we were building towards something bigger, and Claire. She kept showing up, helped me move into a nicer apartment, threw me a promotion party, started teaching Lily how to bake. In August, she called with an unusual request. I want you to be my maid of honor at the wedding. I was silent for a long moment. Emma, are you sure, completely sure, you're my sister? You should be standing beside me. Standing beside her, not watching from the sidelines. Full inclusion, full acceptance. Okay, I said. I'll do it. Her relief was audible. Thank you. This means everything to me. The wedding was in September, a garden ceremony with 100 guests. I stood beside Claire in a pale blue dress, holding her bouquet, watching her marry Marcus. When the officiant asked who gave this woman, I said, her family does, oh my, and meant it. At the reception, Claire pulled me aside. Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for earning it. I'm sorry for the years we lost. Me too, but we have years ahead to make up for it. She hugged me tight. I love you, Em. I love you too. And I meant it. The anger had faded, replaced by cautious hope and genuine affection. We'd never get back the time we lost. but we could build something new. Daniel attended the wedding as my plus one. We danced during the reception, and he pulled me close enough that I could smell his cologne. "You look beautiful," he said. "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself." "Emma, can I tell you something?" "Sure." "This whole year watching you build your life, watching you succeed, it's been incredible. You're incredible." My heart was pounding. "Daniel, I know, I'm your boss. It's complicated. But I needed you to know. You're not just an employee to me. Haven't been for a long time." The music swelled around us. Other couples danced, oblivious to the moment we were having. "You're not just my boss either," I admitted. "So what do we do about that?" "I don't know, but maybe we figure it out together." He smiled. "I'd like that." We kept dancing, and for the first time in years, I let myself imagine a future that included not just stability and success, but love. Real, honest, complicated love. October brought my final semester of school. 2 more classes, then I'd graduate in December. 7 years after I'd started, I'd finally finish. The day I submitted my last assignment, I cried. Lily found me on the couch, tears streaming down my face. "Mama, are you sad?" "No, baby. I'm happy, really, really happy." "Why?" "Because I did something hard and I finished it. And that means you can too when things get hard for you." She climbed into my lap. "You're the best mama ever." "You make me want to be." December 15th, graduation day. I walked across the stage in a cap and gown, accepting my diploma from the university president. In the audience, Lily sat with Claire and Marcus on one side, Daniel on the other. My family. Chosen and blood finally together. After the ceremony, Daniel handed me flowers. "Congratulations, college graduate. Thank you for everything. I wouldn't be here without you." "You would have found your way eventually. I just opened a door." "You did more than that. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." That's what people do when they care about each other. Care. Such a simple word for such complicated feelings. "Daniel, about what you said at the wedding. I meant it. Every word." "I know, and I feel the same way. But I need to know, is this real? Or am I just convenient? The grateful employee who..." He stopped me with a gentle hand on my arm. "Emma, look at me." I did. "You are not convenient. You're complicated and challenging, and you push back when you disagree with me. You're brilliant and stubborn, and one of the strongest people I've ever met. I'm not interested in you because you work for me. I'm interested because you're you. I have a daughter. I have baggage. I have an entire complicated life." "I know. And I want all of it, if you'll let me." Lily ran up, then diploma in one hand, excitement on her face. "Mama, Aunt Claire says we can get ice cream to celebrate." I looked at my daughter, then at Daniel, then at my sister waiting nearby with her husband. This life I'd built, this family I'd gathered, this future I'd earned. "Ice cream sounds perfect," I said. 6 months later, I was sitting in Daniel's office, my own office now 3 doors down, reviewing quarterly projections, when he appeared in my doorway. "Got a minute?" "For you always." He closed the door behind him, suddenly nervous in a way I'd never seen. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I have a question." He pulled a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. "Emma Torres, you walked into my life in a parking lot during a rainstorm and you changed everything. You made me want to be better, to do better, to build something that mattered. And somewhere along the way, I fell completely in love with you." Tears were already streaming down my face. I know we said we'd take things slow. I know this is fast. But I also know that when something's right, you don't wait. You commit. So I'm asking you right here, right now, will you marry me? "Yes," I said through tears. "Yes, absolutely yes." He slipped the ring on my finger and I laughed at the absurdity of it all. From a broken car and a desperate prayer to this moment. From struggling to thriving. From alone to loved. "I need to tell Lily," I said. She should hear it from me. I already asked her permission, last weekend at the park. She said yes, but only if she gets to be the flower girl and if we get a dog. You asked my 6-year-old daughter for permission to marry me. She's the most important person in your life. I needed her blessing. And that's when I knew for certain. This man understood that Lily came first, that my past mattered, that love wasn't just romance, but partnership and commitment and showing up every day. I love you, I said. I love you too. Bye. We got married the following spring in a small ceremony at the same garden where Claire had married Marcus. Lily was the flower girl beaming in her white dress. Claire was my matron of honor. Daniel's mother flew in from Oregon, embracing me like the daughter she'd gained. At the reception, I found myself standing alone for a moment, watching the people I loved celebrate. Lily was dancing with Daniel, both of them laughing. Claire and Marcus were talking with friends. Sophia and the team from work were drinking champagne and telling embarrassing stories. This was my life now, full of love and possibility and second chances. My phone buzzed. A notification from the bank. My first royalty payment from the business book I'd written based on my experience. Small, but real. Another door opening. You okay? Daniel appeared beside me, Lily on his hip. More than okay, I'm just taking it all in. It's pretty great, isn't it? It really is. Lily reached for me, and I took her, holding her close. This little girl who'd changed everything, who'd made me stronger, braver, better. Can we go home soon? She asked. I'm tired. A little while longer, baby. Then we'll go home. Home. To the house Daniel and I had bought together. To the life we were building. To the future that kept expanding with possibilities. I thought about that parking lot, about sitting in my dead car drowning in fear and despair, about the stranger who'd appeared with an umbrella and offered help. That night had felt like the end, but it had been a beginning. Sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest futures. Sometimes rock bottom is the foundation you need to build something incredible. Sometimes a stranger with kind eyes becomes your family. And sometimes, if you're brave enough to accept help and determined enough to do the work, you get the life you always deserved. Ready to dance? Daniel asked, extending his hand. I took it, Lily, between us, and we walked back to the celebration, to our people, our family, our life, together. Five years later. Mama, I won. Lily burst through the front door, waving a blue ribbon. 11 years old now, all long legs and growing confidence. Won what? I called from the kitchen where I was helping our 3-year-old son Michael with his afternoon snack. The science fair, first place for the whole school. Daniel appeared behind her, carrying her project board and wearing a proud smile. She beat out 60 other entries. It wasn't even close. I hugged Lily tight. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. I couldn't have done it without you guys helping me. And Aunt Claire did too. She helped me with the graphs. Claire, who was now a regular fixture in our lives, who babysat Michael when we needed date nights, who showed up for school events and birthday parties and ordinary Tuesdays. My sister, for real this time. We should celebrate, Daniel said. Where do you want to go for dinner? Can we go to that Thai place? The one where you and Mama had your first real date? Daniel and I exchanged a look. You knew about that. Mama, I'm 11. I know things. We all laughed, and Michael banged his sippy cup on the table, wanting to be included. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, Daniel and I sat on the back porch of our house watching the stars. Can you believe it's been 6 years since that parking lot? I said. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a different life. It was a different life, for both of us. He took my hand. No regrets. Not a single one. Just that I didn't find you sooner. I leaned against him, comfortable and content. We found each other exactly when we were supposed to. Inside, I could hear Lily practicing her acceptance speech for the science fair, her voice floating through the open window. Michael's baby monitor showed him sleeping peacefully in his crib. This life we'd built, this family we'd created, this love we'd chosen every single day. It hadn't been easy. There had been challenges, conflicts, moments when I doubted, But we'd worked through them together, committed to making it work. Daniel had been right that first night. Sometimes love meant boundaries. Sometimes it meant showing up. Sometimes it meant believing in someone until they could believe in themselves. And sometimes it meant accepting help from a stranger in a parking lot and trusting that kindness could lead to something beautiful. "Thank you," I said quietly. "For what?" "For seeing me. For believing in me. For giving me a second chance." Daniel pulled me closer. "Emma, you gave yourself a second chance. You did the work. You built this life. I just had the privilege of being part of it." "We built it together." "Yeah, we did." And we sat in comfortable silence watching the stars, holding each other, grateful for the journey that had brought us here, excited for the future still unfolding, because that's what second chances were. Not just a single moment of redemption, but a choice to keep building, keep growing, keep becoming. And I chose it every single day. I chose my family. I chose my career. I chose love. I chose myself. And that made all the difference. The end.